Let's go live now to the Detroit Motor Show, which opened today, from where we can talk to Ian Robertson. He's BMW's Sales and Marketing Director and has just unveiled the company's new 5 Series. So, Ian, good evening to you. You're in the process of spending $1 billion on this plant in Mexico. It's in the same part of the country where Ford were planning to open. Are you still committed to that?
Absolutely, and we're also investing another $1 billion in our Spartanburg plant in South Carolina, which it's already the biggest plant in the BMW world, and it'll be even bigger in the next 2 years as we bring in more capacity and an additional model called the X7. The investment in Mexico is part of our worldwide production capacity. We'll supply cars from there to other markets right around the world, as we do with investments that have been going on in countries all across the globe over the last 4 or 5 years as we've extended our business.
But as I understand it, 70% of the cars that you're planning to build in Mexico are destined for the US market. Aren't you worried about Mr. Trump erecting tariffs and what he calls border taxes on those cars?
You know, as I said, we have very flexible plants where we're able to produce right-hand drive, we're able to produce left-hand drive, we're able to supply markets all around the world. And in the months and years ahead before that plant comes online, which is at the start of 2019, we'll decide what models are produced there and where they're ultimately destined to go to. At the same time, we are, as BMW, the largest exporter of products in the automotive world from the United States. Last year, according to the Department of Commerce, that was around $10 billion worth of exports. So I think our commitment to the US is very, very strong, and we continue to invest in it. And ultimately, what we try to do is to have a balance between sales and production in the big markets all around the world. Last year, we sold in the US around 370,000 cars, and we produced 410,000 cars here. So that's a pretty good balance. Clearly, they're not the same cars. Many of them are exported and some of them are imported. That's the normal business model for the auto industry.
But do you think Mr. Trump has been bullying the auto industry? I mean, Ford clearly thought long and hard before putting this work from Mexico back to Michigan, didn't they? I mean, GM, he's rattling the bars against them. Toyota, is that a good environment in which to be doing business?
You know, I think, Ian, one of the things that the premium or the luxury car market has always had in place is that we produce cars not for one country of a specific type, of a specific nature. We produce cars for a global market. So, you know, a 3 Series that's sold in the US is the same as one that's sold in Japan, is the same as one that's sold in Europe. So, you know, we have that ability to tool up a factory and then to ultimately decide where the cars are produced and sold. And Mexico is another part of our overall capacity. We're in that great position of needing more capacity for our global demand, rather than, in some instances, many companies are faced with the opposite, which is finding homes to take capacity out. That's not what we are in BMW. We take our manufacturing strategy very, very seriously. We consider it long and hard before we take the plunge, and Mexico was one of those decisions, as, by the way, is the extra $1 billion that's going into South Carolina right now.
Now, turning to a situation closer to home here in the UK, Mini's obviously still doing very well. One of the UK's top 10 bestsellers. Rolls-Royce, which BMW owns, just announced its second best year of sales ever. How committed are you to the UK for these manufacturing hubs if we don't get access to the single market post-Brexit?
You know, in total, we had sales of over 250,000 in the United Kingdom last year, a record and a market leadership position. I'm absolutely delighted by that. Clearly, you know, I'm from the UK as well myself, so it always pleases me in that way. And, you know, back to what I said a minute ago, we balance our production and our sales, and production will follow our sales. I don't anticipate that the UK is going to lose any of its desire for BMW products. So a strong market there will require us to have equally a strong foothold in terms of our manufacturing. After all said and done, Ian, it is the home of Mini, it is the home of Rolls-Royce, and it actually, with our engine factory in the Midlands, is the home of some of the smaller engines for BMW products that are shipped from the UK all around the world, not just to our European factories. Now, back to your original question, you know, we've made our points very clear. We would like to see the common standards across the UK and Europe, and we'd like to see the avoidance of any tariff barriers or any other logistical barriers that make that manufacturing more difficult. But I'm also conscious of the fact that, you know, from Article 50 triggering to ultimately a decision, it's a complex political discussion stroke negotiation. And whilst I'm sure the car industry will be considered within that, it is obviously a bigger question for the governments across Europe to finally decide upon.